Hello, this is Nurse Glenay. I'm a registered nurse. I'm the founder and CEO at Glenay's RX for Life, which is a career burnout consultancy and healthcare education agency. And I am so excited about this nurse recovery system that I have for working nurses, career Black women, protected class individuals across the United States who are dealing with moral distress, career burnout, and are at high risk of losing their employability, especially in the age of AI. I came across this post today and it said, psychiatry is not panacea. Panacea, which means like a catch-all or anything. And so I thought about it and I am so sorry. I wanted to make a comment on that post and repost it. However, by the time I finished writing what it is that I wanted to respond, I got back to LinkedIn and it was gone. It was like, you know how it refreshes and then it just was gone. And I was like, no, I was going out through the history, trying to find it. And am I saying it right? Panacea? Panacea. Panacea. Let's see. Panacea. Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, so it's not a panacea. Let me just go ahead and give the whole definition, because if you're anything like me, I did not know the word. Okay, I did not know the word. And psychiatry is not a panacea, means that psychiatry is not a solution or a remedy for all difficulties or diseases. And when I went through the comments, a lot of the people, actually the poster was talking about how the institutions or whatever the forces may be has been like burdening the psychiatry with trying to fix dementia or trying to fix addiction and trying to fix homelessness, when they're like, no, we deal with mental illness. But then I figured that there has to be a gap in there somewhere, because when you look at the mental issues on the street, like I'm in Los Angeles, so mental illnesses on the streets of Los Angeles, when we look at the homelessness issue on the streets of Los Angeles, we always attribute the people who have mental injuries and who have mental health issues, who are addicted to drugs, who are homeless. We always say, or they always tell us, that those are the people who have untreated or undertreated mental illness. But I beg to differ. Those are the people who were once gainfully employed. Something happened to them at work and they presented to a doctor, whether it's a workers' compensation doctor, whether it was a psychiatry like me. I was dealing with workplace moral distress, workplace discrimination, systemic racism, and institution. And so I was funneled into psychiatry, which for me, and I'm sure many others, turned out to be not the best solution. So let me just backtrack and say that two reasons. The first one, the dominant narrative says that addiction and homelessness happens because of untreated and undertreated mental illness. So the default is send everyone to psychiatry. The second, in some cases, dementia is prescription drug induced. Don't ask me, check the research. I also took SNRIs while I was going through moral distress. And let me tell you, it is not a fit for moral distress issues, because you become numb and complacent, and yet the issue is still there. And you're like, da, da, da. Like, that's not cool. You should mount a response to somebody beating you up, right? So to speak, metaphorically speaking, but also systemically speaking, you're dealing with workplace bullying, workplace issues, and your job is not to hold on to the paycheck. Your job is to address that challenge, because whatever that challenge is becomes the way for your success. And when you take medications to become complacent and tolerant of your bully, then you walk this line. Your bully is here. Your destination is on the other side. I don't know how this formation is coming up on the screen, but say your Goliath is here. Here you are, David. Your job is to slay this issue and move past it so that you can get to your promise, right? Slay it. Slay the issue. Slay the challenge, because you don't want it to come back and rear its ugly head at you again, metaphorically speaking. So here is Goliath, here is David, and your job is to go parallel, not parallel, but to intercept and move past the issue. But what you're doing when you're using SNRIs or SSRIs or whatever the case may be is trying to get along and just live your life in this quiet line where Goliath don't have to taunt you as much, but he still taunts you because you haven't overcame the challenge. And so eventually you run out of line because your lifeline is not this way. Your lifeline is going that way. I hope I communicated that well enough, because I really want to move on. But let me just end this by saying, don't walk parallel to your situation. Walk past it, because the challenge becomes the way, okay? You have to address it. You have to confront it. You have to move past it. Your job is not to tolerate it and to let it be there and continue to taunt you and all that kind of stuff, right? So I said that in some cases, dementia is prescription drug induced, and too often people who are once gainfully employed were funneled into psychiatry after a workplace issue or during a workplace issue from injury and moral distress. It's already on record that moral injury happens, these suicides and this violence and impulsivity happens because there's a mismatch in the use of psychiatric medication and the problem that sent you into psychiatry. So they went in for work caused harm, and the outcomes spiraled. The outcomes for gainfully employed persons who went into psychiatry and went into medicine, their doctor, for a workplace injury that did not address their root cause, leads you to homelessness, leads you to addiction, and in some cases can lead you to dementia. Because let me tell you, the very short time I was on an SNRI, not only was I left with severe disabling brain zaps from the detoxing and after, but I had issues with recalling nouns. I couldn't recall a noun. So there was brain injury there. I lived it. I almost lost everything. And that's why I built this nurse-led institutional level pathway for gainfully employed persons who are dealing with moral distress and workplace issues. Because here's the truth. Psychiatry is for mental illness. Your workplace issue is not a mental illness. And neither will be your downfall. It will be disobedience and fear and neglect to follow the commandments of Yahweh that leads you to the issues that we see on our streets from once gainfully employed persons. Now, let me share my website, because I definitely am excited about helping as many industries and communities and individuals as possible. Hold on. Okay. Oh, that's cool. Yeah. Can you see it? I think you can see it. I'm gonna just put that over here because I'm not quite sure what's going on there. Okay, so here's our homepage. Nurse recovery and career healing start here, one shift at a time. Your 40-day comeback starts here. We mentioned 40 days because number one, 40 days is holy, right? And number two is that it's a small amount of time out of your FMLA leave. We want to make sure that you have a space that you can rest, that you can be restored, rejuvenated, uplifted, and empowered while you're off work because FMLA is not vacation, people. It's not. Some of you guys out there doing it, but other people, there's real impact, okay? While you're out there playing and catching flights and just sleeping in late, the enemy is waking up to see how he can devour and destroy you. FMLA is not vacation. It is a high stakes medical legal process that can brand you with a diagnosis that discredits you, takes away your license to practice, and bury you under medications unless you handle it correctly. You must be an astute, ready to perform person when the enemy is presented before you with a plan to destroy you. This is just the system way. It's not even personal. It's just about you showing up to remedy and get resolve for the issues that you are experiencing. So this is our first page, our home page. But what I'm really interested in, I have here something that just reminded me of me. I was going through workplace discrimination on workers' compensation during a time that when I was making six figures, honey, back in 2012, 2013. I was making a lot of money here in Los Angeles, was a homeowner, luxury car driver, widow, living in my own tri-level townhome, had a handsome benefit package. And honey, when I tell you she was stressed and pressed on all sides, because I'm like, I went from making $13 and a penny to going to school. I went from only having graduated sixth grade to having a bachelor's of science in nursing. Don't ask me how I did it, but I'm telling you it was done. But this is where my troubles led me into psychiatry. Within 6 weeks of seeing a psychiatrist, they wanted to do electroconvulsive therapy on me, saying, we don't see why you're still upset about your employer making business decisions. Funny, real funny, real funny. They don't see why I'm upset. I shouldn't still be upset. You know, it's been 6 weeks and I'm, so I went on ahead and took the medication because for me, the SNRI actually was had an adjunct benefit to reducing musculoskeletal pain. So anything that can ease my 10 out of a 10 pain was helpful and hopeful, baby, because I didn't want to take the opioids, the narcotic that the workers' compensation doctor was trying to put me on, who said, well, if you don't want to take these, then you must not be in real pain. Excuse me, sir? Do we not see the fluid in the ultrasound that's between my interstitial spaces? Do we not see the limited range of motion on my wrist and elbow? Am I the only one seeing this? Like there's a problem here that needs to be fixed, not masked and not a band-aid on opioids. Besides, they're highly addictive. How will I ever return to work without what a nurse is being arrested for now? Drug theft, criminalized because the addiction started in the doctor's office with a prescription. Come on, people. There's a better way, and I'm here to help you with it. If you want my help, if you want my help, only if you want my help. So let's go to the nurse recovery page. These are my two books here that Operation Mental Health, Practical Lessons on Career Burnout and Recovery. It is a memoir. Operation Mental Health isn't just a book, it's a movement. Inside, you'll discover 10 power moves designed to break the cycle of workplace discrimination, medical misdiagnosis, and career burnout. If you're being dismissed, gaslit, or medicated instead of encouraged to pursue workplace rights, this book is your RX for life. Accept the lifeline. Through vulnerability, raw truth, gripping storytelling, and step-by-step interactive roadmap, you'll uncover how targeted employees are led into medical therapy and how you can choose to make the good way, how you can choose to take the good way, leading to health equity. We're all of my colleagues are fighting for health equity. Let me share my story that I experienced with solutions, because it is at some time we need to move from research to rescue. Operation Mental Health isn't just about awareness, it's about problem solving, it's about the employee experience and performance. Employees who make real-time critical employment health decisions focused on their end results and outcomes are empowered to prevent career burnout, like unemployability, drug addiction, homelessness. Operation Mental Health is packed with personal and professional insights, transformative exercises, and real-time strategies, equipping the doer, not the reader, but the doer, to pivot, to profit, and to live your promised life in Christ. Because I don't care what you've been told, can't nobody sell you health, can't nobody get you justice, can't nobody give you equity but Yahweh and Yeshua HaMashiach. Okay, that's it. I'm just standing at the crossroads to tell you, hey sis, hey bro, this is the path I took. Please go this way. Please, I will hold your hand if you go this way. But if you go that way, you already know the outcomes. But if you want your unique health equity result, come this way. I don't have anything to lie to you about. You don't have any, you don't even have anything to lie to yourself about. You know that way ain't right. You know it's not right. So in the age of AI, take control of your health, employability, protect your promise, and step into your lane using 10 power moves. You can start your 40-day transformation today with Operation Mental Health. I'll show you the tiers back there. So let me go ahead and introduce, well done, hood girl to head nurse. When I tell you there is a story to be told about psychiatry and growing up Black in America in the hood, moving, pulling yourself up by your bootstraps and being able to identify and understand the system ploys and to lean and trust on the loving Almighty God, to learn from your mistakes, to be able to put it down in writing and share the story, the redemptive story of Christ in powerful books. When I only finished the 6th grade, and when I tell you I can put a sentence together that would have you turning pages, it's the truth. So here's a social proof from Natasha. She said, I could not put this book down, literally. The book is so real and transparent. It showcases the reality of things some of us face in life. However, I love the conqueror mindset. It didn't matter what obstacle came her way. She was determined to succeed. This book is inspiring, to say the least, and it demonstrated how one's past does not predict their future. Your book allowed me to self-reflect and put things in perspective in my own life as I transitioned into this new chapter. Thank you. God bless. You are so welcome. Glenay grows up in chaos in the jungles of blood gang territory in South Central Los Angeles, where violence and hardship hit her before she even knows how to fight back. Life throws everything at her: mental illness, abuse, addiction, but she refuses to be just another statistic. She pushes through, beats the odds, and becomes a registered nurse. Just when she thinks she is living the American dream, the system comes for her. Fired for standing up for her health, betrayed by her attorney, tossed aside by every industry she dedicates her life to. Tossed aside by the very industry she dedicates her life to, convinced they have silenced the problem, but they have no idea who they're dealing with. The Joker say, where did they get a load of me? And Well Done, Hood Girl to Head Nurse, Glenay exposes the raw truth about resilience, workplace discrimination, health disparities, and spiritual battles we fight every day. This book, this isn't just her story, it's our story. If you've ever been knocked down, underestimated, or forced to choose between your faith and your paycheck, this book will show you the way forward. Your transformation starts now. Will you be crowned? This is a great book. Like both of them. And they're available only at Glenay's RX for Life. You know, anybody who's treating this person who is having workplace issues should be aware of their spiritual implications for these people and point them in the right direction, right? So this is nurse-led mental health leave support, where we help you pivot so that you profit and you live in your promised life. Our slogan is nurses put the care back in career. When nurses take FMLA for work-related moral distress, three things often get missed: accurate documentation, a structured plan for recovery, and clear choices for provider communications and accommodation. So our nurse recovery system is a simple, confidential, nurse-led pathway that turns leave into recovery and a clear path for safe return to work. An option teams within your industry can choose to support for better employee health outcomes that complement existing care. I've been a nurse for over 20 years, and I promise you, nobody in the United States should be seeing a doctor without seeing a nurse first. That's just my business model. That's how I get down, because when you start seeing doctors without nurses who manage your medication, nurses who overcheck the lab results, and nurses that ask pivotal questions, patients start getting diagnosed with diabetes when they don't really have it, going on dialysis just because they meet fat criteria or obesity criteria. And I mean, like the visceral fat around the abdominal area that just paints the picture of somebody who's in kidney failure, right? Or, you know, we've heard stories, horrific stories about doctors treating people who don't even have cancer with chemotherapy. Listen, healthcare and medicine is a business, and you are the commodity, people. Do not allow your workplace issue to get you into a position that you do not have the knowledge and the strength to come from out of. Do not have this industry and this system having you quit on your dreams and your goals. And it's not to say that your dreams and goals are to be an employee, but for me, and I'm sure I'm not the only one, because like you have a head, two arms, 10 fingers, or 8 fingers and 2 thumbs, and you walked erect. What I went through what I overcome, what I saw, and how my life transformed isn't just for me. It's God's way, and it is for you also. So what's included is your pre-FMLA informed consent. So records and requests reflect the situation accurately. Right now, even nurses are going into psychiatry and talking about their symptoms. You're talking about your symptoms, but you're not talking about the issue so that somebody can help you uproot the cause. And I'm not saying your psychiatrist and your doctor is going to help you uproot the cause, because it's not their job to prevent disease. Their job is to treat disease. So first of all, you have to use a thing as it's meant to be used. The nurse is used to prevent death, disease, and injury caused by misdiagnosis and inappropriate medication use. The workplace and your moral distress, preventing moral injury, is the perfect landscape for you to get nurse-led. We are policy aligned. We offer documentation so that you're not discredited. We plan a structured return to work to empower you so that you don't have to worry about mental, what does they call it? Mental, see, I told you, I'll be losing nouns. Stigma. You don't have to worry about mental illness stigma, because you're being coached and your employer is consulting to solve a problem that's within the workplace. Not even corporate attorneys solve the problems. They just argue the facts of it. You guys want to uproot the situation so that we can get back to business, get back to making good money, not fostering wickedness and trying to tolerate it, but allowing growth and functionality to continue to happen in the workplace, and innovation, and moving forward, advancing your employer's mission. We offer medication management, because I'll go on record to say I do not believe psychiatric medications have a place for registered nurses who are dealing with mental health issues or mental illnesses that occurred from the workplace, because it's not a mental health or mental illness issue. It's a moral issue. It's an ethical issue that causes the same symptoms. Everything causes symptoms. Side effects causes symptoms. Everything causes symptoms. You have to sit down and decide and assess where your symptoms are coming from. If it's spiritual in nature, if it's physical in nature, we have to sit down and decide, so that you're not caught with an idiopathic disease, and also drug-induced injuries. And then helping you with understanding what your values and your faith are and how to apply that to the workplace. And this is something that a lot of my clients and students are very grateful for, is that when you book with us directly, and even when you book with us directly, your employers have no access. I spelled access wrong. Employers have no access to shared information. Unlike when I was in psychiatry, and my psychiatrist was being strong-armed by the insurance companies and by the workers' compensation medical director with, where do you practice that? They were intimidating her to make sure that she did what they were asking and not what she thought was medically necessary. Boy, it's a tangled web out there. Let me help you unweave it so you can get through it. So why does help? It supports better employee health outcomes during leave. It promotes safer, smoother reentry and reduces repeat leaves. It protects licenses, medical records, and employability with clearer documentation. You do not want these things on your medical record. They do not belong in privacy and confidential HIPAA laws. They are workplace systemic issues that you need clear direction on what to do about it that's going to protect your end outcome. From research to rescue, FMLA isn't about time off. Choosing a nurse-led option gives you peace of mind, language, and confidence to do what's next without defaulting to diagnosis and medication if that isn't what you want. If that's what you want, have at it. You already know what your end result is going to be. Mediocrity, and even worse, homelessness, addiction, cynical, pointing fingers, at war with social injustices. You don't even have to deal with any of that once you go the way of truth in life, when you choose nurse-led. So ask for nurse recovery instead of just being referred to EAPs and wellness centers when you are having real issues in the work that require real knowledge, advocacy, and support. Are you ready to make power moves? Book your free 15-minute discovery call. Which tier is right for you? Nurses and administrators are welcome. Let me see if I can get these tiers in here. So tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, and tier 4. I think these prices are very nominal. I spent tens of thousands of dollars while I was on modified duty to get meetings with workers' compensation doctors, to get meetings with attorneys, just to be in the room with people, to hear and to understand what I'm up against. Who am I fighting? Where's the weak spots? So baby, when I tell you these prices are nominal and you should be willing to spend the money to sit with and to find the solution, the real solution for your issue, and return to work, keeping your employability without having to go through the medical system to get medicalized and turn into disease, you should call me, contact me so that you can get in to this coaching program so you can get the solutions that you need, not just for yourself, but for your family. Ooh, I cannot tell you how many moms have called me because their sons, their Black sons, are under so much pressure at work that they're afraid to speak out because of the things that because of the trauma that is in the DNA. And they haven't met anybody who has pushed back and overcame the system without trauma, without violence. And that anger is redirected into domestic abuse, suicide tendencies, anger outburst. It all begins with understanding what it is that you're supposed to be doing when moral distress happens to you at work. The power that's inside of you, the goodness that is inside of you, that is meant for you to war against the policies and the principles and high wickedness in high places, and not just the people that you're around. You're dealing with people, but you have to understand that sometimes if you're facing this conflict, that they are standing for the organization, for the corporation. And so you have to do certain things to make sure that your humanity is seen, that your spirit is obeying the spirit of truth that's inside of you and not acquiescing. Do you know the word acquiesce actually means to bow, to turn away from what you're supposed to be doing at law? It's a legal term, and it simply means to bow. We don't want any employee bowing. We don't want any employee negotiating their inheritance away because you lack knowledge about what is going on. Do yourself a 40-day favor and get the knowledge so that you can make the best decision for yourself, your future employability, and your children. So I'm not going to go through all of these tiers. Please visit my website if you are interested in hanging out with me, spending some time to go through this. Please don't tell me I never shared it. Child. Okay, next time, because I'm not doing it again. Oh my God. Let me just show it. You guys, y'all gotta forgive me. I, I, I don't know. Oh my God, it's my first time doing this. Yeah, I didn't.